Andrew Kelley had a stable job at a dating app, good pay, health insurance, the kind of job people hold on to for a decade. He quit it to live on donations from strangers on the internet so he could build a programming language whose entire grammar fits in about 580 lines. 580. Meanwhile, the committee behind C++ has spent more than 3 decades doing the opposite, adding feature after feature after feature. And it's still going. One man, living on donations, subtracting. A corporate committee, 30 years, adding. This is the story of why Andrew Kelley thought that trade was worth it. To understand Zig, you first have to understand what Kelley gave up for it. Before Zig was his full-time life, he was a senior back-end engineer at OkCupid, one of the biggest dating platforms on the internet. Stable company, real salary. He'd been building Zig on the side since 2016. Nights and weekends, the way most side projects quietly die. But this one didn't die. It grew. It grew to the point where he was spending entire weekends just merging other people's pull requests, with no time left to actually move the language forward. So in 2018, he did the thing most engineers only fantasize about. He quit, and he didn't soften it. He wrote a blog post about it, and he gave it a title with zero spin. Read that again. He called his own stable, well-paid job cushy, like it was the problem, not the prize. In the post, he framed Zig as a public service. No board to please, no shareholders to answer to. 100% of donations going to rent, food, and a modest life so that all of his time could go into the language. That's the trade. Give up the safety net. Then let the internet decide, month to month, whether the work is worth feeding. Here's where it gets interesting, because once you know what Kelley gave up, the design of the language starts to make sense. Zig isn't defined by what it adds. It's defined by what it refuses. Most languages compete on features. Look how much they can do. Zig competes on subtraction. Look how much it took away, on purpose. No operator overloading. In a lot of languages, a plus sign might secretly call a function you can't see. Kelley said no. A plus sign adds numbers. That's it. No invisible cleanup. No hidden destructors firing behind your back the moment a variable goes out of scope. If something needs to be freed, you free it and you can see it, right there in the code. And then the third one. Somewhere in most languages, a global allocator is quietly doing its job in the dark, handing out memory to anything that asks for it. No questions, no receipt. Kelley looked at that convenience and said no. If code allocates, it's using something you handed it, in plain sight, every time. Every one of those is a refusal, and every refusal points at the same obsession, one phrase that is basically the soul of the whole language. What you read should be the whole story. No hidden control flow. The text on the screen, that's all of it. Nothing is happening between the lines. Now that sounds almost pedantic until you realize what it buys you. When nothing is hidden, nothing surprises you at 3 in the morning when production is on fire. Kelley didn't strip these features out because they were hard to build. He stripped them out because he decided the hidden magic wasn't worth the cost. That's not a limitation, that's a worldview. MacroLens runs on the people who back it. The link's in the description, if this is worth supporting. Which brings us to the decision that drives his critics insane. As of June 2026, after roughly a decade of work, Zig still has not shipped a 1.0. No stable this won't change under you release. And it's not because he can't. It's because he won't. Not yet. In interviews this year, Kelley put it plainly, he's holding the language to a bar he calls uncompromising perfection. A 1.0, he said, will be a true, uncompromising labor of love. Or it won't happen at all. And think about the pressure he's ignoring to say that. The Zig Software Foundation is not some hobby fund anymore. In its most recent published financial report, the foundation's annual income topped $670,000. There are companies shipping real production software on top of Zig right now, on a language that is technically still pre-1.0. Any normal organization would look at that money, at that adoption, and rush to stamp a 1.0 on it just to lock in the momentum. Kelley won't. The funding grows, the community grows, and the release date does not move. Because in his math, a rushed 1.0 you regret forever is worse than no 1.0 at all. He would rather make you wait than make you a promise he doesn't fully mean. And here's the proof that this is about the man, not just the syntax. Late last year, a software podcast called Software Unscripted put out a single episode, just Kelley talking, for almost 2 hours. And by every public tally you can find, that single episode drew far more views than the show it lived on has subscribers. A niche technical podcast most people have never heard of. Do the math yourself, and it doesn't add up the normal way. An episode outperforming the very audience that's supposed to be watching it. That's not people who follow the show. That's people who came for him. Search his name, and you find the same pattern everywhere. Long-form interviews, conference talks, hour-and-a-half conversations that people actually sit through to the end. And nobody sits through 2 hours of a semicolon debate. They sit through it because there's a person at the center of it, someone with a position, someone who quit a comfortable job, who refuses features on principle, who won't ship a number until it's perfect. The language is interesting, but it's the conviction behind it that people can't look away from. Zig has a following, Andrew Kelley has an audience. Those are two different things, and he has both, which leaves exactly one question, the one his critics keep asking and the one he keeps refusing to answer directly. When, exactly, is it perfect enough? That's the thread that ties all of this together, the refusals, the missing 1.0, the standard nobody else in the industry would hold. But there's one feature he did keep, one piece of near magic he decided was worth every single line, the thing that made a JavaScript tool called BunBet. Its entire foundation on this language. That story is already up on this channel. It's called The 580-Line Language That Broke Node, and it's where his comptime, his refusals, and that one unanswered question finally collide. Watch that one next, because now you know the man. That video is where you meet what he built.